Today, I'm looking at the Adidas Duramo Speed. This shoe is one of the best budget daily trainers in my opinion. I've gone through 2 pairs of this shoe now, and after countless miles, I still think it's solid for the price you can get it at. I'm going to share my thoughts and opinions on this shoe with you, so stay tuned. I've had 2 versions of this shoe now. This was the first one. This has had a couple hundred miles on it, and then I retired it to just a walking shoe, a gym shoe, you know, just walking around the house in. So that is definitely dead now. But then I picked up another pair as a daily trainer, and I originally bought this blue one for about £60. Now I think I picked up this black one for about £40. So it's really cheap. It's nothing too exciting really, but it is just a solid shoe. So we're getting a 6mm drop here. That's 29mm in the heel and 23mm up in the forefoot. And I think that's just about right, to be honest. You still get some ground feel, but I do like that Adidas opted for a lower drop of 6mm here, because I know a lot of their entry-level shoes often have higher drops. So it's actually a really comfortable drop. You don't notice it at all. And then as for the midsole, we have Light Strike, although it is just Light Strike the first version, not Light Strike 2.0, which is a bit of a softer formulation. This is just the standard Light Strike, what you used to see in their original Adidas SL shoe and a couple of the other cheaper ones. However, it's not too bad. You can squish it in. It's definitely one of the more firmer foams, but for general daily use and definitely walking, it's pretty solid. So the first thing I did when I got these shoes is actually take out the insole that's given with them and change it just to a old Adidas insole that came with some Adidas 6, and I find that a lot more comfortable now. Because the insole they provide is like a squishy, quite thick one, and I just found it wasn't great for energy return or comfort really, and it made the shoe feel a bit tighter. So if you can take that out and put in a better insole that you prefer, I do find that actually improves the shoe quite a lot. And then additionally, I also swapped the laces. It just came with black kind of stretchy Adidas laces originally, and again this is just an old pair from some of Adidas's more expensive shoes in their Adizero line, and I just prefer a kind of stiff thin pair of laces. So again, that was a small improvement that took this shoe from something basic and made it a bit more custom to my foot, which I really like. One of the things I do really like about this shoe is it's nice and wide at the forefoot, as you can see there. Most times Adidas shoes do narrow down towards the toe box, but this has actually been quite good just by the toe knuckles, as you can see. Okay, and now taking a look at the outsole, you don't get Adidas's Continental rubber, being this cheaper shoe. However, you do get their Adiwear outsole, and I find it pretty good, to be honest. I'm out here in the UK, so it's often quite wet and slippy, and I've found it handle most conditions perfectly fine. I don't really miss the Continental rubber, and in terms of durability, it's held up really well. I've had this pair for about 6 months now, and it's not too much wear on them. Then if we take a look at the old version, that has obviously got a lot more wear on it, but they're still just as grippy as the first day. So really, really good for the price, I think. And then having a look at the upper, it's this fabric kind of engineered mesh they've got on here. It's quite scratchy. Towards the forefoot, it is nice and airy, and you get some good ventilation and breathability. And then moving up towards your ankle, it does actually start to get thicker here with all the padding inside the heel. And I do find the tongue is quite thick and padded as well. So good breathability towards this end. Then as you move up towards the heel, I do find, especially in summer, it can get a bit sweaty and a bit warm, but definitely not too bad. There's definitely worse shoes out there for breathability. And if we look at the old shoe, which has seen a lot of wear, you can see that the upper actually did start to tear right there in the toe box, and then just there. And I think some of that is probably due to this being a size 9, and it was a bit more snug on my foot. So this is probably just where my feet were kind of pushing the limits of the size, because I did size up to a 9.5 on this one and find that overall it fitted a bit better, if not a bit loose in the heel. So that is one thing I've found as I sized up. I can get a good fit through the midfoot and the forefoot, but when I'm running, I find that the ankle area and the heel expands a bit as you step down, and you can get a loose lockdown in the heel. It can be a bit tricky to get the perfect fit. I did use this extra eyelet to help, whereas on the size 9 I didn't have to do that. So maybe order 2 sizes and see which one works best for you. But my overall experience in this shoe has been pretty good. I've used it mainly just for easy running, about 5-6k at a time, and for them kind of easy slow runs, they really are a good daily trainer that just puts in the miles. They're nothing too exciting, I would say. They're very kind of neutral experience. I don't hate them and I don't love them. And for the price point, I think that's perfectly fine. You don't get much energy return, really. I find the foam absorbs impact just good enough. And they're just kind of shoe that melts away into the background. You can just forget about them, and you do need to work a bit harder because obviously you don't have a plate, you don't have a really aggressive rocker, and you don't have some super energy returning foam. So that does make your feet and your legs work a bit harder, but for them daily slow miles, that can actually be quite beneficial for some. And it's quite nice just to get back to something that's a bit back to basics and just solid overall, in my opinion. The longest run I've taken this shoe on is probably about 12 kilometers, and it was fine. I would say if you want to go longer than that, up to 20k for your long runs, past that, probably wouldn't recommend it then. You'd probably want something with a bit more stack and a bit more support. But overall, for them short runs where you just need to get it done, this is where I'd be choosing the Adidas Duramo Speed. And because of that wider forefoot, if we look at the bottom again, obviously it narrows into the heel, but that wider forefoot gives some good stability. Obviously this is just a neutral shoe, but if you're a midfoot or a forefoot striker, you get some really nice stability if you land right there. And I do find there's just a tiny little rocker at the front, as you can see, that just goes up here, and that's why I mean this shoe really does seem like it's designed for them midfoot and forefoot strikers, because it gives you a nice little pop. It's nothing too aggressive, obviously. It's still a neutral shoe, but it's quite nice. So here we have the Duramo Speed on foot. I do quite like the look of them as well. This black and white colourway is not as nice as the navy, I would say. It's a bit more basic looking, but I did change the laces out. They were originally black, and yeah, pretty solid shoe. I do find them quite similar to the Boston 12 or the Boston 11 in their kind of design, especially as you can see they've got this bit of foam here, and there's like molded bits where the rods would be, the energy rods in the Boston. So I find that quite interesting. So I wonder, is the Duramo Speed almost like a cheap trainer to the Boston? So that's my opinions on the Duramo Speed. Overall, really solid shoe. As I said, in the UK, I see these on sale all the time. You can get them for about £40–50. For that price, I think they're a steal if you just want something cheap, so you can then save a bit of money up to maybe buy some race shoes or some speed shoes. I think this is a really good option for a lot of people without spending that £130–140 on a daily trainer nowadays. So yeah, consider it and let me know what you think if you've run in the Duramo Speed.